So it's a great honor to be here. Henry Adams says, unity is vision. It must have been part of the process of learning to see. People who unite together under a common vision are the ones that get things done. All across Vermont, the towns that succeed, the towns that set momentum, are the towns where they think together, they come together in democratic process like this, and they set a set of goals and then line up to achieve them. Democracy's not an accident, and it's never done. Lincoln called it an experiment. We're in a big experiment tonight, and we really appreciate each of you coming here. So let's have a hand for all of you for showing up. Now, about a month ago, the steering committee came up with the 9 different areas that we're having focus forums here today on. The Council on Rural Development comes in as a neutral facilitator. We bring a structure, but we don't know the answers for Manchester. You all know better than we do. It's all about local leadership. The structure lets you dig in, put your ideas on the table, and we're going to take those ideas from today, the 30-something pages of notes, and cluster analyze them, add them up, and bring them back to you on the 16th of April in this room or something like it to look at them all on the wall and say, what are the things that we could do and line up to achieve here? Because you can't do 50 things at once. When we look for towns that are ready for this process, we're looking for towns with great capacity, with real leadership, with willingness to work, that are looking for the next stage of their development. And we think that this is a great place for this process. When we get that list of steering committee ideas, which set the agenda for today, we say, who are the top people in Vermont with resources, intelligence, experience, and skills, and potentially even funding that we could bring to this community to help them line up for action, to listen with them, reflect, and a month from now, after you set your priorities, send us their recommendations for action.
Okay, I'm here with Paul Costello, who's with the Vermont Council on Rural Development. Paul, can you give us an overview of what this community visit entails and what the goals are?
Well, it's Manchester 2020 community visit. The idea is to unite as many people in the community as possible, get them to put their best ideas on the table around issues that steering committee previously designed, and then line up their ideas today. We'll hear hundreds of different ideas around housing, sustainability, downtown, and then we're going to aggregate those ideas and cluster them and bring them back to a town meeting on the 16th of April. In probably a gym, we're going to work on that, but we're going to hang them up on the wall, and we're going to go through a process where the community says, this is the thing that will leverage change. This is the thing that will better commerce in the downtown. This is the thing that it's going to help make us a more dynamic place for young people to live, for young businesses to develop, and to move forward as a community. So we don't come in with any pre-agenda. We come in with a structure, and then it's all about local leadership and local decision making.
When you go into towns and do this, first of all, tonight, have you heard a repetitive theme so far today that has come up over and over again in the discussions? Dozens
of them. You know, you think about breaking out to 9 different focus forums on 9 different subjects. Inevitably, the threads that about commerce or about opportunities will weave through them all, and we try to later segregate those ideas into blocks that are actionable for the community to consider. So we've seen a lot of that. And between towns we see it. You know, the idea of moving forward with food systems in Vermont, the idea of building a stronger downtown and a more diverse downtown, the idea of attracting young entrepreneurs. What do young people need to feel like this is a dynamic community? Every community has some of the same issues. Manchester's different because Manchester has this tremendous human capacity, a lot of well-educated, really intelligent, thoughtful people, including the students that we met at Burr and Burton last week. Tremendous discussion. But it also has capacity. You know, it has undeveloped land, it has strong downtown capacity for change, and there's fiscal resources to support things in this community that some towns don't have. So there's just a great opportunity for progress. The one thing we see is that towns and residents often have 50 different ideas that they'd like to make change on at once, and you can't really do it all at one time. You have to say, where's the point with real leverage that's going to make the biggest difference and that will benefit all these other areas that we are concerned about too. You know, the town's just gone through the redevelopment of the roundabouts, and that took a long time, and the result is beautiful. And it's European style, but real Vermont. And so what's the next thing? And how do you focus so that there's unity behind it to get it done? That's what this is all about. And then we ask people to vote with their feet by joining task forces to move things forward, help rally to get resources, provide leadership to move things forward. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease in this world, and the towns that are most successful are the towns that line up. They don't wait for Washington, D.C. or Montpelier, Vermont to solve their problems, because nobody can. They set direction and they work together. And this process is sort of it's designed to be a structure that helps towns make decisions to move forward.
I'm Lawrence Miller, and I'm the Secretary of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. So that includes economic development, historic preservation, tourism and marketing, community development.
And have you been through this process in other towns before?
I have not. This is my first community visit with VCRD. I'm also on the board of VCRD, so it was a neat opportunity to come out and engage in one. I've read a number of the reports that have been done from previous visits.
So how, Paul has given us a little history on his work and the process, and he talked a little bit about success rate. One of our questions is, in your work today, did you hear a recurring theme that came up?
Yes. One of the things that I was most noting was the high recognition of the assets that the area has. So there's a really common sense that the outdoor recreation opportunities, that the connection to the resorts, connection to the mountains, bike paths, hiking opportunities, the rec park, all of these elements are there for an outdoor-oriented lifestyle, and that attracting people here in a way that's consistent with taking advantage of those assets was a real clear direction. It was also clear from all of these conversations that people really do see Manchester as the hub of the region, and that there's opportunities, including all of the surrounding towns, in the economic development future, rather than having an insular effort.
My name is Erin Hazlett. I am from Arlington, Vermont. And I'm here as a local, not to Manchester, but as someone who's in close proximity and really excited.
So what did you find most interesting about the sessions this afternoon?
This afternoon I was in the Economic Growth and Development session, and I found it amazing. I was one of two under 30 years old that were there, so that was a little nerve-wracking, but also meant that there was somebody else who was interested at my age, and also that everyone was really receptive. I've been sort of building an advocacy program for rebuilding sort of the garment industry here in the United States, and it was really exciting to see people get excited about doing community-based projects, and that was really exciting.
What is your vision for the future, and what is the most important priority to you?
The most important priority to me is to make sure that as many local people end up with jobs out of this growth and out of this movement. I think if we can employ ourselves, then we can go forward and employ people who want to come. And to do that, we need to create jobs. And in order to do that, we need to start reinvesting in manufacturing, and we need to really start looking at our farmers and our family as work sources and not just as expenses. You know, we all have a value, we all have a passion, and if we can start to rein that in and figure out how to make money off of that, then we'll have a much happier and productive community.
Hi, I'm Sue Pierce, and I work for Bennington County Head Start in the Northshire, and I'm also serving on the Community Food Cupboard Board.
I'm Emmy McCusker, and I'm president of the Community Food Cupboard in Manchester.
Okay, so tell me how you're participating, what you found most interesting, and what your vision for the future is. And I'll have to do one of you at a time because we only have one mic.
The reason I'm participating is because I saw workshops that pertain directly to the people that I work with, the Head Start families. So that was poverty and housing and then education opportunities. So, and I just always look for opportunities to collaborate and partnership. And I also, as a resident of Manchester, felt like this was a great opportunity to see what can happen when a community gets together around issues like this.
And how about you?
Well, that's wonderful, and it really covers a lot of areas that I was interested in as well. I think particularly the issue of poverty and food and feeding the hungry in our community is one that many people don't realize, thinking that Manchester is a gold town. But we do have a poverty issue, and I think if there are ways that we can all get together to try to alleviate this issue, it will be a benefit to all concerned.
Would you like to say anything else?
Well, what I like about this is the diversity, because not only are we talking about issues of poverty and housing, but also issues of economic development and entertainment. And so if we can all join forces together, I think that you're going to find there'll be some amazing ideas that come out of it. And so that it's just exciting. It's exciting to see so many people here.
So I'm here with Ed Morrow, who's one of the participants and longtime community members. Ed, can you tell me what the most interesting thing you've experienced is today in the discussions?
Well, I guess the most interesting thing is the sense of déjà vu. We went through a similar process some 20 years ago. I was chairman of the Planning Commission then, and Ivan Beatty was still chair of the Select Board, and we went through and created a vision for the town. And a lot of us have been saying for the past couple of years that that vision is stale. We need to go back to the drawing boards, rethink what we're all about. And I'm really excited about the way it's turned out. The two sessions that I was in today were really, I think, very productive and a lot of great ideas. And the feedback we get from the visiting team members that the energy and the creativity is here to be successful in this round, and I hope we will be. I trust that we will be.
What do you think the most important priority? If, you know, there's a lot of issues and hopes and dreams. Right now, at this moment, if I had to say pick one, what is the most important priority to you?
Yeah, well, without in any way affecting the marvelous quality of life here, which is our biggest attraction, our quality of life. I think to cut through, there's so many different ways to approach the problems that we do have to go on to the next stage, that to cut through the Gordian, to unravel the Gordian knot, you can't do it, you've got to cut through it. And I think that means that we have to do a major change to our zoning bylaws to make sure that we get the kind of sustainable development and smart growth, the way the term of art is used, and not overdo it to where we destroy what we came here to get.
Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Today, March 16th, the eve of St. Patrick's Day 2013, we gather once again, as authorized by the Manchester Select Board on February 23rd, 2010, when they proclaimed that in honor of the contributions of the Irish to the United States, to the state of Vermont, and to the town of Manchester, the Irish flag would henceforth be flown over the Manchester, Vermont Town Hall on St. Patrick's Day. So we gather for the raising of the Irish flag in honor of St. Patrick's Day.
I'm at Petcetera today, and I'm talking to Khaki Fisher. We're going to learn about Kiefer, her Labrador Retriever that just won Best in Breed. I've got this all right?
Best of breed,
Best
really,
of
if we
breed.
wanted to have the politically correct jargon.
At the Westminster Dog Show. Khaki, you're a breeder, and you raise Labrador Retrievers only?
I do,
Okay.
yes. I own Petcetera, obviously, and that started in 1987, so I've been doing that 25 years. In 1974, I got my first Labrador, second one in 79, and bred my first litter puppies in 1982. So Kiefer is a culmination of really almost, 30 years of breeding dogs. It's taken me this much time to sort of settle into my breeding program and produce something that's just really lovely.
When you have a little puppy, how do you know that that's the puppy that's going to be the best in show or whatever?
Well, it's an educated guess. Kiefer was one of 10. There were 10 little Indians born in my kitchen, 10 little yellow puppies, and my husband and I watched them grow, and as they sort of get up on their feet, they start looking a certain way and developing personalities. And I can remember pretty clearly when Kiefer was maybe 8 or 9 weeks old, looking out the kitchen window. He's running in the yard with his siblings, and just the way he stood and looked, both of us actually were taken aback and thought, oh, what a pretty guy. Then we wound up keeping 3 puppies out of 10 and watched them grow, and then started doing our training, and then hope that they continue to grow and look really nice. And as a matter of fact, we wound up with the 3 pups that we did keep finish their championships before 18 months of age, which in Labradors is just awesome. And then after Kiefer became a champion, we held him back and let him grow up and get mature. And as you can see, he's quite a big, mature boy now. And started showing him as a champion, and he did really well right off the bat. So he's really just beginning his championship career. But it's like an educated guess. We look at them comparatively, and after raising many puppies, you just sort of start developing an eye for what you think might look nice later on.
How old is he now?
He's 3.
Okay.
He's 3. He's born August 6th.
And do you have any other dogs that you're showing?
I have 12 Labradors at home.
Wow.
Like I said, 3 of the litter of Kiefer, and I have 3 black girls, and I have Kiefer and Kitsy and Freddie's mother, and then I have 3 youngsters that are coming on. Actually, I just showed one made her debut this past weekend and did fabulously. So now it's the next generation after.
And you're showing all 12 of them now? That's a busy
schedule. Their mom is retired. She was my agility dog, and she showed. And Kiefer's brother and sister are not shown as much as Kiefer, but the younger dogs, as they come up, yes, that's what we do. We show them. So I probably have 5 maybe active show dogs now.
What's involved in raising a champion?
Well, we start our puppies out. Luckily, I'm here at Petcetera, and we have a kindergarten program.
Yep.
So our pups start at 8 weeks of age. They come into kindergarten, so they learn to be around other dogs and people in different places. Then, as they start growing up, we take them with us, even if they're not going to be shown. We take them in the van with other show dogs so they can see new places and people and things. And then we start training them to stand and stay and look at food. Because in conformation it's kind of the glorified beauty contest, they don't really need to know obedience skills or agility skills, but they need to stand and stay, have a judge examine them, walk nicely next to you, and be able to do that for long periods of time in a very stressful environment because it's full of dogs and people.
Kiefer to me looks chunky. He looks a little overweight. I think my vet would say he's got a little weight.
What? I think most veterinarians would say, most people would say that he looks overweight. And probably to the layperson he is. But when we show Labradors, they like to see them with a good layer of fat over them. good good cover over them. I look at him, he does not look fat to me. He looks normal, but he's also being shown. If he were not being shown in my house, he would probably be 5 pounds lighter. He does get ample exercise, even at this weight, and he runs like the devil. But they are supposed to be able to withstand cold temperatures, cold water temperatures, and that gives them a good layer of insulation under there. So it is a lot of weight for him to carry. He is 100 pounds, and you're right. I mean, your instinct is right. He's a heavy dog, and he is kind of like a boxer as opposed to a runner. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can think of that, you know, a heavyweight boxer carries a lot of weight, and that's part of their makeup. A runner would never carry that much weight. Stop snorkeling for food. And so your feeling is right, but there is a method to my madness. I mean, for his show career right now, he needs to be in that kind of physical weight.
His behavior is surprising me.
Yes.
It's everything that you teach us in puppy kindergarten that they're not supposed to do. Can you explain?
Sure. Generally, when people come to us for training, they don't want their dogs to jump on them. And so that's why we help people with having their dogs not jump on them. You don't have to live with Kiefer, mm-hmm. right? Kiefer's my dog. I don't mind that. So he's also, so I don't mind if he comes up and visits me and comes up on my lap. He does do that. If he were, he's also a little anxious because he's here. There's none of his doggy friends are here. He's not used to being up in this room. I have cookies in my pocket. So all of those things are making him be a little bit more clingy and a little bit more jumpy than he would normally be. If he were home, he is one of our house dogs, one of our 5 house dogs. He would, for the most part, just be laying on his bed or laying in the corner. He is like I said, he's a little amped up and he's a little clingy because he's a little nervous.
I guess as a show dog, I would expect him to behave.
Yes, right. And really, when the time is on and when the lights are on and the leash is on and he's got to do his thing, he's a rock star. Mm-hmm. He stands beautifully, and so he does all of the things that he's supposed to do when he's supposed to do them.
What's next for Kiefer?
That's a good question. Since the garden, we call it the garden, since Westminster, and that was early February, he has been to Chicago, he's been to Indiana, he's been to Pennsylvania. He is currently ranked the top Labrador in the country, the best in the country right now.
Are you listening to this?
And in order to maintain that status and ranking, he has to be shown a lot. Okay. He has taken 1 weekend off, and that gives him a little break so that he can just be home and, you know, play and romp and all of that sort of thing. But in order to maintain this ranking, which I'd kind of like to see how, you know, whether we can get a year as top lab, he will be on the road a lot. And that would be, for the most part, Friday, Saturday, Sunday shows. Sometimes there'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows. And then when he comes home, he gets to play. We have 21 acres, so he can run and play and swim and do all of those things, so he gets a break.
Nice.
And I had a call from a person in Washington State that's interested in using him for breeding, and he has a girl coming to him the end of March, so there will be hopefully Kiefer babies soon, and then I hope that that's in his future too. I know. He's like, Mama, play with me. I'm used to getting more attention
Why
than
don't you have him show us some of the stuff that he does in show?
I will. He needs to stand and look at attention, and ideally stand 4 square. His rear leg on the off side is back a little further, but that's pretty nice. His tail is carried really nicely off of his back, and he's allowed to eat in the ring, as opposed to obedience and agility, where they're not allowed to do that. But he can eat the whole time. I can talk to him. That's a good boy. Okay. So then the judge would come and examine him and look at his teeth and touch his body and feel muscle tone and feel his coat and that sort of thing. Look at his face. And then I'm going to go in your direction. They look at him walking away, so they look at what his back legs do. Good boy. And what his front legs do. And then stand, look at a piece of food. And we want to see that he stands with his feet, you know, his legs nice and straight and feet turned neither in nor out. And then he would do a circle, and then we would wait, and then they do a whole process of elimination, which you could see if you looked at the live streaming at westminster.com and looked at Labradors, or looked at any breed. His really good qualities are he's got a beautiful neck into shoulder. Just let him stand and see if he'll look. Yeah, look at a piece of food. Beautiful short back, really solid top line into really nice tail set, big hamstrings, big body, really nice short dense coat, breadth of bone that is in keeping with his body. You know, he's got a lot, beautiful tight feet, pretty face. He's particularly when he's relaxed, you know, good length of ear and that sort of thing. So he's got a lot of really nice qualities, and those are the things that a judge is looking at when they do, you know, compare it against a like the standard of what's desirable. Good boy. And anybody that wants to visit him can call me and come and see him. But he's a lovely boy, and he's a really sweet dog. And like I said, sleeps in our bed with us. So that is the Best of Breed winner. So Best of Breed means he was the best Labrador at the show. Every dog show has its breed winners, and then the breed winners go and compete in the sporting group, and then the group winners compete for best in show. Every show is done like a process of elimination. So he was the best Labrador of 53 that came in from all over the country. And that's the thing about Westminster. It's so prestigious, people travel for many miles. Mm-hmm. So I brought this because I thought it was really kind of cool, which is our room key for Westminster. When you check into the New Yorker, that was your hotel key. And then, if I can give that to you to hold, the other thing, Keith, that every Best of Breed winner at Westminster receives the Westminster medallion, and I'm going to do a shadow box with this, and that is, I don't know if you can see that, but a sterling silver medallion with the club insignia and logo, and then the flip side of it is Best of Breed 2013. Sterling. So these things are coveted. Many breeders never get to have something like this, so for me it's just been a joy.